Okay, here's Cory Booker with Jake Tapper.
Let me ask you about drugs, because that's obviously an important part of health care. And you know Bernie Sanders was very critical of you and 12 other Democrats for voting against a bill that would have allowed the importation of drugs from Canada. I know that you've answered as to why you voted that way, but he was very harsh. He said you and the other Democrats lacked the guts to stand up to the pharmaceutical industry. Well,
and then Cory Booker got in trouble. He found out that people are paying attention, right? In fact, remember this Cory Booker, Big Pharma paid me $267,000, so I voted against lowering drug costs. Remember he did that? Mm-hmm. Guess who didn't go along with him? The corporate pig Democrats. And this is from Vox. How Cory Booker went from progressive hero to traitor in under 2 days. Mm-hmm. Yep. The Sanders-Klobuchar proposal would have allowed Americans to buy prescription drugs from Canada where they're significantly cheaper. EpiPens, for instance, cost twice as much in the United States. So you're people who could die from allergic reactions, which that's a lot of poor people. Hey, give me my money. We need to gouge sick people. That's what we do in America, and the politicians enable it.
Senator Cory Booker.
Abilify is more than 6 times as much in the United States as it is in Canada. Are you proud of your country? Are you proud of your American corporations who Americans harder? The idea to import drugs from Canada, 72% of Americans support it. They're not their own people. The Democrats' people are Big Pharma and Wall Street. And that's why we're in the pickle we're in. And that's why you can't let up the heat on the Democrats, because we got to get rid of these corporate if we're going to make any progress. When he voted against this, he guaranteed poor people will die. So what Cory Booker is saying to you when he does that, he's liberal who gives. Well, you know what I say to Cory Booker? No, Cory, because I'm telling everybody about it every time I'm on TYT or I'm on the Pacifica radio or I'm on anywhere doing anything. I'm reminding people that you are a garbage person. Oh, who took the money from the pharmaceuticals? Oh, look, it's Cory Booker, number 3 in line. $267,000. Democrats, good for nothing corporate pigs. Hi, everybody. I'm here with Rob Placone and Steph Zamorano. And before Trump was elected, Democrats could do a lot of horrible stuff in private and no one will call them out on it. You know, stuff like repeal habeas corpus, give us a right-wing health care plan, try to cut Social Security or Medicare, give tax breaks to the richest people, start more foreign wars, and have more trade deals that screw over American workers, stuff like that. And nobody would say anything. And then Cory Booker got in trouble. He found out that people are paying attention, right? In fact, remember this Cory Booker, Big Pharma paid me $267,000, so I voted against lowering drug costs. Remember he did that? Mm-hmm. And we called him out on this show. We called him out on Twitter. We called him out everywhere. In fact, everybody on the left called him out. And he was like, oh, God, people are paying attention now. I didn't understand that that's what they meant about Trump winning and people waking up, but it's really happening. Yeah. And so now people are on to Cory Booker. Cory Booker gives passionate speech about delivering fairness to Americans, votes down a bill that would have effectively ended Big Pharma's monopoly on prescription drugs.
Former mayor of Newark, current U.S. Senator and a Democratic candidate for president of these United States. Please welcome back to The Late Show, Senator Cory Booker.
We pay twice as much for our prescription medicine in the United States as they do in the rest of the world. And why is that? Why do we pay twice as much? Why? Because our government is completely corrupt, and everyone knows it. And it's funny when you say, hey, maybe we should have the same health care as Canada. People go, what are you, a fairy duster? You can't have that in America. And they never finish the thought. Why? Because, you know, our government's completely corrupted and everybody's bribed.
I live 50 miles away from Canada, and in many cases, they pay 50% less for the same exact medicine that we buy in Vermont or in America. And we all know the reason why. The power and wealth of the pharmaceutical industry and their 1,300 lobbyists and unlimited sums of money have bought the United States Congress. Today, Mr. Trump, a guy I don't quote very often, He said that Pharma gets away with murder. That's what Trump said. He's right.
Listen to what he's saying. 50% less in Canada for drugs. Here we go.
The same old takes place. We get amendments like Mr. Alexander, Senator Alexander, and the pharmaceutical industry makes more and more money, and the American people pay higher and higher prices. The time has come for us to stand up to the drug companies. Let's do it tonight. Let's defeat the Alexander Amendment. Let's support the Klobuchar-Sanders Amendment.
So what was the amendment? The amendment was to allow for the importation of drugs into the United States from Canada. It didn't pass. Even though, how many Republicans joined them? 12 or 13? Give me the direct number on that. Joined them, joined the Democrats. So that was the Bernie Sanders bill to allow for the importation of prescription drugs into the United States from Canada. Guess who didn't go along with them? The corporate pig Democrats.
Senator Cory Booker.
Guys like, well, Cory Booker. So I don't know who made these, but they're great. So Cory Booker, he got fixed, right? So he then when that bill came up again, he voted with Bernie Sanders. How about, or he reintroduced it with Bernie. So he got his mind right. He got caught. He got caught. And Cory Booker, in case you don't know, is what's wrong with politics. He's definitely what's wrong with the Democratic Party, and he's for sure what's wrong with America. Cory Booker is what's wrong with America, okay? Because he gaslights you by trying to pretend he gives it about you while he's really screwing you over at the behest of his corporate.
Jimmy.
Okay, here's Cory Booker with Jake Tapper, the tap man, tapping.
Let me ask you about drugs, because that's obviously an important part of healthcare. And you know, Bernie Sanders was very critical of you and 12 other Democrats for voting against a bill that would have allowed the importation of drugs from Canada. I know that you've answered as to why you voted that way, but he was very harsh. He said you and the other Democrats lacked the guts to stand up to the pharmaceutical industry.
Well, first of all, you know that was not a bill. That was
an amendment.
It was a resolution. It was
Okay.
not even something that, if everybody in the Senate voted, would have changed one thing. It was a late-night resolution during a vote-a-rama that some of us were asking is, hey, put some safety requirements on it. They weren't put on.
So here he is trying to downplay what he did. He's saying, look, you understand it was a late-night vote. It was a vote-a-rama. It wasn't even a bill. It wasn't even a bill. So what he's saying is this thing wasn't even important. It didn't even matter. It wasn't even a bill, which makes it all the worse. Yeah, so why wouldn't you vote for it then? You wouldn't even symbolically stand with people. That's what makes it worse. And that's what a slick corporate goon and a camera pig like Cory Booker thinks is a slick answer. But we just caught you, dummy. You dumb phony. We just caught you. It wasn't a bill. I appreciate you straightening out the verbiage of that it wasn't a bill. But what about the thing where you don't have the guts to stand up to Big Pharma? What about that part? Oh, that part's true.
So I went right to work. I said, hey, Bernie, Senator Sanders, excuse me, let's work together. Senator Casey, Senator Sanders, and I put our heads together, worked on a bill that is incredible. Not only will it allow imports, but it gives the safety guarantees that a lot of us were concerned about.
So that's a talking point right from the pharmaceutical industry. The safety concerns that a lot of us are worried about. You're worried about the safety of drugs imported from Canada because you know how people in Canada are dropping dead left and right because they got unsafe drugs. In fact, the Canadian drug standards are more rigorous than the United States. And so we caught you again, Cory. You're lying again. Caught you. Caught you. You don't get to lie like that anymore. We know that's a lie. Caught you again. All we wanted was some safety. So we got it done. Is that what he's going to say?
Nothing to do with Pharma. It doesn't do with courage. It's about good legislation.
Doesn't have to do with Pharma. It doesn't have to do with courage. So this is just a bull gaslighter, right? That's all this guy's doing, right, Ron?